Okay, I think we got this going.
Yay!
Yay, hello
Hi!
everybody. We are just jumping right into it today. It's been all kinds
Yes.
of crazy stuff. Welcome to our comic preview stream. It's Tuesday night.
Yeah! Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. Our good friend Dan, who kind of sets all of this up for me and allows me to talk about comics. Hey, yay, hello, hi Jesse. He is really excited for us to announce that we have made affiliate with Twitch. So we're now a Twitch
Yeah.
affiliate. So you can sub to the channel, and we encourage you to do that. Thanks to everybody who is subbing, and sub some more if you can. Just keep doing that sub kind of thing. All right, let's just jump into some comics, man. There is
A lot.
so much coming out
Yeah.
tomorrow. I'm actually a little frustrated that my wife watches this stream because there's like almost 20 books coming out tomorrow
Wow.
that I may or may not purchase, and that's a lot more than usual.
See,
But
my stack is also big this week, but partly because there's a lot of books that came out that
yeah,
I've
yeah,
already read, and I just want to talk about them.
yeah, it's a
But yeah.
huge week. So like, let's not even waste time. Let's just
Right?
jump right into it.
Okay.
So now we're not going to have any of the problems that we had last week with the cam. What did we say? There we go.
Yay!
Yeah. So I like to always start with the facsimiles. And
Wow!
boom, right here, right out of the gate, one of my favorite kind of facsimiles. That's the Uncanny X-Men. This is issue number 130 from 19. I think it came out in 1980ish, maybe 79, like the copyright on the front cover says. But this is the first appearance of Dazzler.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, Celeste,
Uh-huh.
do you? There it is. Celeste, do you know who Dazzler is?
I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
You,
you
you
are you
talked about
excited?
her like a couple weeks back.
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
this
it's
is
cool.
what I love about comics from this era is that they were just told there was an ongoing story just monthly, and it wasn't set up to be like a 4 to 6 issue miniseries. So this is in part of the famous Dark Phoenix saga, and just also happens to have a short introduction for Dazzler. Like they just run into Dazzler in the middle of dealing with the Hellfire Club and the Dark Phoenix. Yeah, so there's Jean right there as the Dark
Oh, wow.
Phoenix. Yeah, so it's just kind of funny because this is such a to me it's a little funny because this is such a huge key moment in X-Men history, like in continuity, and it just coincidentally also is the first appearance of Dazzler. And they don't necessarily have anything to do with each other. Like Cyclops just goes to a club and that's where they introduce Dazzler. Like
Yeah.
she's just there. But meanwhile, there's all this other important X-Men stuff happening. Yeah, but this is a classic comic, classic issue.
So, are you all for Taylor Swift playing Dazzler? The
I
rumors.
that is the rumor. I mean, she looks the part. I don't really. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. Like
I think it'd be funny.
Taylor Swift is whatever.
Yeah.
My biggest concern would be like if she could legitimately act like in the role. Like stunt casting can be fun sometimes,
Yeah.
but
She
I
has
would
acted before, but it's been more like comedy skits.
yeah.
So,
Like I would prefer just like a real actor in the job, or an actress, or
yeah.
whatever. I also don't like Dazzler. Just if you can't tell from looking at the cover, her thing when she first started was that she was a disco character. Like look at all the she basically has powers, like to compare it to somebody that a lot of people that are fans of X-Men 97 would know, very similar to Jubilee, where she just has like light based powers. She can create these little light balls and shoot laser beams.
Mm-hmm.
And that works fine in the context of her being a disco singer. She can create a dazzling light show.
Yeah.
And it doesn't you don't have to pay pyrotechnics people. She can just do it all herself. But
Doesn't Jubilee go around on roller skates?
some
Or am I wrong about
she's
that?
been no, that's Dazzler.
Okay.
That's like when she again the whole disco thing. It's not on the cover, but yeah, her character was she rolled around on disco roller skates. She was basically like a moving disco ball. But one of the things that I liked about Dazzler, and I can't remember if we talked about this before, is that she was kind of an important X-Men character because she just wanted to be a singer who happened to be a mutant. So she wasn't like a character that got roped into being a crime fighter or a superhero.
Yeah,
She's
awesome.
just she's just yeah, she's just
She's
a cool
there.
character, and
Yeah.
she was an artist and she wanted to be a singer, and she didn't really she didn't have any interest in being like a superhero, just like putting on a superhero costume and fighting villains. But so it's a good story. Anyway, we don't have to dwell too much on Dazzler. She's not even that great of a character. She's a bit of a gimmick.
Whoa.
But
she's cool.
There's also another facsimile coming out from DC. This is DC Showcase number 22. This is the first appearance of the Hal Jordan Green Lantern.
Wow.
And this is a big deal because, like, at this time, like Green Lantern, 1959, it was kind of considered the beginning of the Silver Age of comics, when superheroes made their big comeback with characters like Green Lantern and the Flash. And then a few years later, Marvel would give them a run for their money with Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and the Avengers. But yeah, so this is art by the great Gil Kane. And it really is, I mean, I guess it's a little dated in that it feels like it's a 60s comic book, and comic books today feel so different from what comics were back then. But I just really love reading this stuff because it's so, I guess you can just tell, like, this set the standard for how comics will be written for a long time. There's just such a, like, if you're reading other comics in the 50s, there's just a jump in tone and how the stories are presented. It's baby steps. They start to take it just a little bit more seriously than they did before.
Is the comic better than the movie?
Oh my God. It is. Well, okay, to be fair, maybe I can't actually speak as an authority on the subject because I never saw the Ryan Reynolds movie, because exactly, yeah, what movie?
Yeah, it never existed.
Oh. Well, it certainly never existed to me because I don't see Ryan Reynolds movies. But I know that's a controversial hot take. But yeah,
that's surprising.
I
thought he was like every man's dream.
No, that's Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is literally me. Okay. But Ryan Reynolds, no, thank you. Okay. But that's just me. I know, and
that's it's both of them.
That's the wrong thing to say right now because everybody's super hyped on the Deadpool Wolverine trailer, and I got nothing to say about it. Instead, I'm reading comic books from 1959. I love this.
Way cooler.
This particular panel. I'm just laughing about this. This character says, let's see, I don't know if it'll show up there. There he goes. In Green Lantern, see, as we all know, Celeste, Green Lantern's power ring has no control over objects that are yellow. Like it has, like, Superman has kryptonite as his weakness. Green Lantern's weakness is yellow.
You're kidding.
That's just it. The ring doesn't affect yellow things.
That is so stupid.
Right. It's a little silly, yeah. And so Green Lantern's going to beat up these guys, but this guy picks up a lamp, and it happens to be yellow, and he throws it at Green Lantern and knocks him out. And I love this little dialogue right here. This guy says, "We lamped him out. We better get out of here." And that's one of those things where I'm laughing at it because I don't know, it's a comic from 1959, and I don't know if is that slang from the 50s and 60s, or is that just like some goofy bit of dialogue that the comic book writer wrote because it's a book for kids, so who cares?
They were just trying to do a cool little quip, and
that's their quip.
It aged well. It's beautiful.
We lamped him out. This is why I read old comics, because I love silly, weird stuff like that. Where there's like some stuff that's silly, you can tell it's from the era, and that's silly. And then there's weird stuff like this. What Urban Dictionary says they were smoking. Okay. All right. So that's my two favorites, facsimiles for this week. Celeste, what's something that you want to talk about?
Oh,
I'm tired of talking. My throat's getting sore.
So this is a book that's coming out.
Nicole.
Yeah.
I think our good friend Abby liked this one. Maybe, I don't know. Abby, are you out there? Tell us if you like this.
Yeah. So I picked it up because I liked the art style was very realistic, and that's what drew me into it. So I thought I'd give it a chance.
Who's the artist on this? Mattia de Ulis, I think. Ulis.
But as you can see, it's like hyper realistic.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
it was really interesting. In the first couple,
actually, it's heavily painted.
Yeah, by the end of the first issue, we see that they walk through this portal and they're in another world. And it all started because, where is she? Her brother went missing, and so they're just trying to find her little brother. And they end up on this alien planet, and things get weird. Things get crazy. So then they eventually make it back, and it sets it
Ooh,
up.
saucy.
Should have warned you
I
about
gotta be
that. My
careful
bad.
about which page I turn to. That's okay. I got a few books like that in my pile too.
Yeah, but it is not like a complete series
Oh,
on
okay.
this
Yeah, there
one
you go.
volume. They set it up on a cliffhanger. So issue 2, I'm really looking forward to that because I want to know what happens next.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
looks good. I remember when the issues first came out, and I was a little uncertain about it. This type of like realistically rendered painting art, I run hot and cold on it. Sometimes I like it, and sometimes I don't. But this looks pretty good,
Yeah.
and it works good in the context of like it. They're realistically rendered, and everything is like down to earth. And then they go into the fantasy world, and everything's weird. So that makes for a good like juxtaposition, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm excited for the next one. Yeah, it was really
Looks good.
interesting. Aliens. As
Did you read the whole thing?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
But like I said, it left off on a cliffhanger. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
definitely going to have another issue. They
Okay,
can't just
cool.
leave it where it's at.
All right. There's that for you. Man, I told you that there's so many comic books this week. We're gonna do kind of something I think similar that I did last week. We're just gonna blast through some of the books that are like in my pull that I'm super excited about. We got Batman Dark Age. I talked about issue 1 when this came out. This is written by Mark Russell and drawn by Mike Allred. Fantastic creative team. I didn't talk about this when issue 1 came out, but I highly recommend it if you really liked Superman Space Age, which was a series they did last year. And the one thing that's kind of I like. I'm ashamed to say it took me a long time to realize these series are both. They're in the same continuity, and they're kind of connected to the DC crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths. Which, you know what, we talked about that last week. That's the facsimile. Celeste, you remember that facsimile that came out last week for Crisis? That was the crossover miniseries that they did in 1985,
Okay, yeah.
And it was about where DC kind of condensed all of their continuity into one, and instead of the multiverse, just like one universe.
Yeah.
And I'm not a DC guy, so I wasn't super aware of all of the intricacies of that. And so once I read Crisis on Infinite Earths, Superman Space Age and Batman Dark Age kind of clicked a little bit more, and I was like, oh, okay, now it's all making sense. So this is a really interesting DC book, and I loved it before I even realized the connection there. But yeah, it's good stuff. I'm really looking for. I haven't read a lot of these because my stack is just so huge today. Really looking forward to reading that one. A few other books that are just my regular go-to books. Conan the Barbarian. This book has just been great. I'm glad to see Robert De La Torre back on art. Jim Zub has been killing it. Just looks awesome. Just great classic Conan.
Yeah, that looks sick.
Yeah, it's some of the best Conan I've read in a long time. De La Torre just has like a real. He's given like the classic artists like John Buscema and Barry Windsor Smith just a real run for their money. Whoops, got to be careful about which page we turn to with that. Another book in my pool that I talked about when it was coming out, Operation Sunshine.
Wait, what volume is that?
This is volume 2. This is issue 1, which is issue 5 of the series. They have to do that thing that I hate that comics do, where they release them in like 4-issue sets. So it's like volume 1, issues 1 through 4. This is volume 2, issues 1 through 4, presumably. This comic looks great. It's this is illustrated by Dave Rubin, and it's drawn by 2 of the guys from the somewhat famous podcast, Last Podcast on the Left, which I'm not familiar with, but I understand it's quite popular. And I really like this comic. It's just like fun vampire stories. It's like a vampire heist. They're trying to steal this ancient thing from this group of vampires, and it's action-packed. It's funny. It looks great. It's weird. I highly recommend this book. This is a creepy old vampire monster.
Wow.
Yes, I should. Again, gotta be careful which pages I turn to. But yeah, Operation Sunshine. If you haven't read it, highly recommend it. Another one on my list that I'm always talking about, Duke. I am so super pumped, super hyped about these new G.I. Joe Transformers comics. This issue especially. Boom, man, we got the bats. BATs,
Wow.
the Battle Android Trooper. They're Celeste.
Mhm.
The BATs were the
Mhm.
coolest toy because you had the regular Cobra Troopers, which were just soldiers with machine guns. The
Nobody
bats,
wants
yeah,
those.
well, they were neat because you could get like a whole bunch of them and just have an army of like the same guy because they're
Yeah.
supposed to be like faceless drones. But then Cobra Commander created the bats, the Battle Android Troopers,
Yeah.
and they're robots, and the toys came with like the arm could pull off and you could put different weapons on it. So they were
really
very
cool.
very cool toys.
Yeah.
And so yeah, very excited to see the bat. Like you can see, he's got the claw arm on there.
You could play dress up with them.
You could, yes. Boom, Destro. Like, yeah, this comic is awesome. Another book on my pile. I'm told you we're just blasting through these. Dutch. I'm super excited about this series. This is, boy, I don't even know if I have time to explain the whole history of this to you, Celeste. This is an old Image character who used to be in the series Youngblood back in the 90s. And
Okay.
so the long story
Is it about
short,
aliens? Like, I thought I saw an
there's a
alien.
little bit of aliens involved
Okay.
in it. Long story short, Rob Liefeld, the creator of Youngblood, no longer owns Youngblood. He sold the rights to somebody, and they own it. But this character of Dutch was created by a fellow named Chap Yeep, and the character appeared in Youngblood. So that character was not included in the Youngblood deal. Well, I'm talking. And so
downward camera.
Downward camera.
Yeah, it looks terrible.
Yeah, it's been like a little fuzzy.
I gotta adjust it.
All right, we got on the spot tech configuration. But anyway, just explaining the history to Celeste again. Dutch, that character wasn't included in the Youngblood sale, so the original creator still owns him. So they're creating this new series with the character that's kind of it's like a secret sequel to Youngblood, but they can't use the name Youngblood. So they're just bringing the character back to do Youngblood type stuff in an all new series, and it's really really cool. It's just like if you and I know you remember the 90s, Celeste, and like all the cool over the top 90s comics.
It still looks bad.
It's kind of orange.
It's a little desaturated. I couldn't tell you, Dan. Like I said at the beginning when we started, we're just flying by the seat of our pants today. But yeah, I'm really enjoying Dutch. This is going to lead into a new series called Blood Squad 7. Ooh. And so that's like, again, the whole young blood thing. Like they can't call it young blood, so this is Blood Squad 7.
I want to be in the Blood Squad. That sounds sick.
Yeah, it is sick. Yeah, so very excited about this one. All right, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, man, I'm starting to go.
I picked up that one too.
Did you read it?
Yes.
Okay.
Finished the whole thing.
You did.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I haven't read this issue yet, but
Oh.
it's been one of my favorite books that has come out weekly.
That's the last issue, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh man. Okay. Well, don't spoil it for me.
Yeah, it wraps it up pretty nicely at the end.
Yeah.
But basically, they go onto this alien planet, and her whole team gets wiped out just like immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just her by herself trying to survive, and she's not part of the military. She's a journalist, and so the whole time she's writing down in her notebook, and that's what all of these little brown boxes are.
The narration is her journal entries, essentially.
Yes. And so she's speaking to the audience, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. At some point in this issue, yeah, here it is.
Ooh.
She sort of fuses with the I don't know how much I want to say about like spoiling.
You don't have to spoil it, but you really liked it?
Yeah, I loved it, actually.
Oh, excellent.
So I'm waiting for the trade to come out so I can buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This book is written by Matt Kindt, who's one of my favorite comic book creators. It's drawn by Dan McDade, and I as somebody who's a big fan of Matt Kindt and loves pretty much everything he does, this is one of my favorite comics that he's done in a long time. It's really, really good. Yeah.
So good.
Dude, Matt Kindt, by the way, from St. Louis Pride.
Yay!
Yeah, but no, it's a good comic. If you haven't read it, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's I don't know, it's just everything I like about comics. Or I think I talked about it the last time we talked about the issue, but you kind of touched on it. I love the narrative style of essentially being able to tell two narratives at the same time, because you have visually what's happening, and then you have the captioned narration, which is her journal entry. And you
Mhm.
know that the journal entry was written after the fact of everything. So it's just
Yes.
really good storytelling
It
of
also helps speed up the story at
that's what
times, so it
yes, that's
doesn't
what I'm
seem
saying.
too slow because she just recaps it all within a little box.
Correct. It's really like
Yeah.
an economic way of storytelling, but it keeps the pacing good and just
Hmm.
really strong issue. I really like it.
Yeah. Beautiful story.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you're digging it. Another oversized comic that I've
The
been following, The
Forged.
Forged. I can't remember if you looked at this one, Celeste.
I have not.
This is another
Issue
one.
7. Oh.
Yeah, I know. They've been publishing it in like 4 to 3 issue chunks. This is another one I have to be careful about which page I turn to. But man, this is a cool comic. It's basically just like Starship Troopers meets Warhammer 40K meets Dune, I guess you could say. The main characters are this like mech unit. Then they're all big tough ladies. They're all like
Ooh.
yeah,
Why didn't you tell me about this
I
sooner?
know. Yeah, it's like an all lady mech unit,
Oh.
and they're all like huge space marines, and it's really good. This is a fun one.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think
I'll
you
have to
would
check
I
it out,
think you would
yeah.
actually really like it. But like there's magic involved. There's this mysticism with like the Empress character, and she's got some kind of powers. It's very Dune. I know Dune is like pretty popular right now because of the movies, but it used to be a book back in
Oh,
the day. Yeah, I
what?
know.
That I
Um,
didn't know. But
but yeah, if you enjoy Dune, if you enjoy
muscle
Starship,
mommies.
yeah, muscle
Yes.
mommies, exactly.
Yes.
That's my new favorite term.
We love strong women.
Yes,
Yeah.
we support strong women / muscle mommies.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's another book that I in my pull. I'm looking forward to reading. Just never stops. All right, Celeste, what's something else you got?
Ooh. Another trade.
All right.
We'll just go through the books.
Yeah. Which one is this?
This is Guardians of the Galaxy Groot
Mm,
Rise. And
Groot
so
Rise.
it's really cool, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think partway through, like a couple issues in. I'll flip through.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, because a couple issues in, basically, Groot kind of he goes a little crazy, and he sort of starts to take everything over, and so all the characters were absorbed into Groot, and
Oh, like they all
now
become Groot.
yeah, they have a little bit of like, I don't want to say a hive mind, but they definitely were changed because of it.
They're all brought together, connected through the Groot.
Yes, and so I found it really interesting because as I'm like reading this, they're in a battle and fights at some point, and they're like, "Oh, thank you for that. Oh, that's awesome," and they're like, "Oh, I love you," and it's just so different from their normal like way of speaking to each other.
Oh yeah,
But it's a lot of fun. It's really interesting. I loved this whole trade. Yeah, that's I want.
Yeah,
I
I think
want
this
to say
is
I started it because I thought it was gonna be more Western. Oh yeah,
well
this was the
with
first
that
issue.
cover. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
very
and
much a
so
space western cover.
because I think it started out where they're just on a planet.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, that's another thing. I really like Mantis in this because she has this really interesting piece of clothing that kind of has a mind of its own and can shapeshift. So you're always going to see Mantis in these weird outfits throughout the whole thing,
Oh, okay.
and it's constantly changing. And I just think that's fun.
Oh yeah,
There
it's
she
like
is.
each
Yeah.
panel she's like something different.
Yeah. But anyway, highly
Yeah.
recommend.
Is
If
this
you like Guardians of the
volume?
Galaxy.
That's volume 2 of the current ongoing Guardians of the Galaxy series.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about
Ooh.
like this. I think you had eyeballed this one. This
I haven't
is
gotten to read it yet though.
well, that's okay.
Yeah.
I read it, so I can talk about it.
Tell me all about it.
This is Drawing Blood, and this book is kind of a big deal. It's created by Kevin Eastman, who Celeste, as we all know, is one of the co-creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And it's created by him and Ben Bishop, who, as we all know, is the creative team behind Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin series.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
I knew you knew
Yeah.
that. I just didn't want to put you on the spot. So this is not Ninja Turtles. This is just an all new 12-issue comic book story that he came up with, and I wasn't sure what to make of it at first, and now I'm kind of drawn into it. No pun intended. It is very much, you can tell this is a pretty personal story for Kevin Eastman. It's drawing from his own experiences as a comic book creator, because like I mean I don't know. I'm sure you don't actually know the full history, Celeste, but Kevin Eastman, he's one of those guys who rocketed to incredible, unheard of success almost overnight with the Ninja Turtles. You know, it just
Yeah.
like blew up and became a thing. And he's lived quite, I don't know, an amazing life, you could say. Like he's made millions, he's lost millions, he's it's a whole you could watch
Yeah.
documentaries on it.
Oh, okay.
And so this comic is drawing a lot from that. It's set up like it's kind of a crime drama, but it's intrinsically tied to the comic book industry. So the main character is what you could consider to be a Kevin Eastman surrogate. He's a comic book creator who created this popular series called, I think it was, what was it, like the Radical Rodents. They show it at some point. It's
Basically, Teenage
it's
Mutant
very
Ninja
obviously a
Turtles.
Teenage
Okay.
Mutant Ninja Turtles thing. Yeah, the Radical Dark. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it's some kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stand-in. And this story is about him getting into some crime drama, like stuck in with the mob. And there's this whole story about how. Oh, I guess I should be careful about which page I turn to on this one as well. We're gonna skip past that.
Every other book.
So, I
on the
know,
string.
right? So this is a big deal because these are 2 pages that are illustrated by Kevin Eastman. He doesn't draw that much anymore, and that's kind of what this story is about. So he draws these 2 pages. These are a flashback to him meeting his comic book idol, this this character who's a comic book creator.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of things that jumped out to me. His name is Forrest, and so I don't. They said the first name. It's like Frankie Forrest, something like that. So that is obviously immediately makes me think of one of the most famous, well-respected comic book artists of all time, Wally Wood, Forrest
Oh,
Wood.
okay. Yeah.
And then you have a little bit later, a few panels later, this like the kid main character, he's talking to his idol Forrest, and he has this line of dialogue. He says, "Honestly, if I'd known what the life of a professional cartoonist was like, I'd have cut my drawing hand clean off." That is
Wow.
an exact quote from Wally Wood.
Oh, okay.
He led a very tragic life and ended his own life in 1980, and that was one of his sad quotes, kind of about himself. Was he was just really cynical and bitter and depressed about the comic book industry. So that's how this story is starting,
Okay.
where he idolizes this Wally Wood type character. But in this story, that character doesn't. Well, actually, he. I don't want to spoil anything, but it goes from there. You can just see that it's drawing from real comic book experiences and real comic book history
I'm
to create this story.
Understand the title of it now.
Yes, yeah, he's I keep
little.
saying it over and over again. He's drawing blood, drawing from a lot of stuff in the comic book industry. But like he talks about how he created these radical rodent characters and he no longer owns them, and he's
Aw.
completely bankrupt because his business partner embezzled a lot of money from him. Now, I just want to go on record. There's nothing to suggest that Peter Laird, who is actually Kevin Eastman's business partner with the Ninja Turtles, he is a saint. He never embezzles anything with the Turtles. But they did have kind of a falling out where they didn't talk to each other for like 15 years, I think, after they both. Because like Kevin Eastman, I mean, I don't want to go into the whole history. You can watch the Netflix series, The Toys That Made Us. They do an episode on the Ninja Turtles, and they kind of give you the Cliff Notes version of everything that happened. But Kevin Eastman cashed out of the Turtles pretty, not early, but like at a certain point. And I think it was he cashed out to try and he needed to cover his costs from going bankrupt from the comic book company that he started, and then he lost like $13 million in 1 year just from mismanaging the business.
Wow.
The details are out there. I can't remember it all off the top of my head, but yeah. So he's and you see a lot of that in this issue. It's all kind of drawing from that. Like he has this fantasy sequence where he's just like yelling at himself that he needs to just draw this character, which is the artist that the character that he's working with, and he's just telling him like, you need to just start drawing and get to work. Like, you know, you used to create and now you don't. And you can tell that this is very personal for Kevin Eastman. You have this character, the radical rodent character, just like yelling at him like, you squandered the gift. and he like beats him
Wow.
up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so
Just when I thought it couldn't get worse.
yeah, so this comic kind of spoke to me on a pretty personal level. Like if you've ever delved into like creative business, like arts and stuff like that, it can be very challenging and very difficult. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed this comic. I think it's a pretty standard setup for the type of story that it is, but it obviously hits pretty close to home, being that it's about the comic book industry and a comic book creator, and then also it just like goes full crime drama because the mafia gets involved and like beat him up and try to kill him, and
Wow.
yeah, it's
That took a turn.
it does, yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I
Okay.
highly recommend it. I was a little like it's 12 issues, so it's kind of I wasn't expecting it to be a 12 issue series, so I'm curious to see where it's going to go from here and how it's going to build upon itself. Yeah, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
really good.
Looking forward to it.
All right, I got another book here that I know somebody in our chat is excited to talk about. The Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives.
Oh my
Now,
god, he lives.
We have two covers here. Now, I made the mistake of asking my wife which cover she liked, and she said, "Why not just get both?"
Oh,
And so now we're getting
wow.
both, and that's okay because they're both really good covers.
Yeah.
But I read this issue today. I really, really, really liked it. It's solid. It is written by Ram V and Dan Waters, and it's illustrated by Matthew Roberts, and colors by the great Dave Stewart. He is a great colorist. But this is essentially a sequel to the first Creature from the Black Lagoon movie. Whereas I think we talked about several months ago the this is by Image Skybound, and they're doing this series of books based on classic Universal movie monsters. And a few months ago there was the Dracula book, and that one pretty much just told the story of the Dracula book, or like the movie, the classic Dracula story, just as a comic book. Whereas this one, it's more of a sequel to the original
See,
movie.
I like that better.
Yeah,
They build upon it.
and they did make a sequel to the Creature from the Black Lagoon, but this isn't really. It's not a remake of the Creature from the Black Lagoon 2. It's just like a new sequel to the original movie, and it's
okay.
really really good.
Yeah.
Just like it stars the main character, the girl from the first movie, Creature from the Black Lagoon. She's a journalist, and she's got all this PTSD from almost getting kidnapped and drowned by the creature in the first movie. But she's trying to do her best to investigate this thing that's going on in South America. In I think Chile is where they're at. And then boom, boom.
He looks kind of cute though.
You know what? He does look kind of cute there.
It's those big eyes.
Yeah. Jessica is correct. The movie sequel is bad. It's so bad, in fact, that it's featured in an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's the kind of bad movie it is. Now, I know you're a big fan of MST3K, Celeste. You're a big Misty. You've been circulating the tapes since 1989.
Watched every episode.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. But yeah, you're right. The movie is not good, but this comic is very good, and there's two great covers. So I enjoyed it. I know my wife is gonna love it. Yes, I don't even want to talk too much more about it because she's gonna read it, and so that I don't want to spoil it. All right, another book that I know.
Oh,
I know everybody's excited about. Man's Best #2. We talked about #1 when it came out. I was positive toward it. I think I said I liked it, and but I couldn't help but compare it to one of my favorite books of all time, We Three, which is also about animals in a similar situation.
Kind of like a superhero.
Yeah, like the way I would describe it is We Three by Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely. That is Homeward Bound meets RoboCop. Oh, and you know how much I love RoboCop.
Yeah.
And so
talk about it every day.
I do. I actually do. Yeah. And so Man's Best is like Homeward Bound meets Star Trek, kind of. Okay. It's more like that. And
I see it as just like superhero sci-fi dogs.
Well, yeah, Homeward Bound in space. It's the characters of these dogs that have these modified like battle suits, kind of, and they're trapped on a planet, and they're trying to find their owner that their ship crash landed on the planet, and it's full of robots, and the people all disappeared. The animals woke up, and the people are gone, but they caught their scent, so they're going to track them down and find them and save them. And it's really good. I really like the art in this.
Mhm.
I like. Did you read this issue yet?
I did. I
Okay,
like that
good.
they call them clanksters.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
they clink.
clankers. Because so that's one of the things I do like about this, that is told from the perspective of the dogs, or the dog and the cat, the animals.
Mhm.
And so they do have that level of, like, they understand the world around them, but they don't speak and think in the same
Like,
ways as
they're kind
humans.
of dumb.
Well, they're animals,
Yeah.
but the
They're actually
story,
really smart for animals.
right,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. But the story does a good job of kind of bringing that out, where they can describe what's happening, but they don't use, like, they don't know what a robot is, but they know that it's a thing that makes a clanking sound, so they call them clankers.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's like a nice little touch to, uh, like you said, kind of creating that, not not like stupidness, like the unintelligence, but just like that, the animal perspective
Kind of
that
like
they have.
realness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good way to do that. But yeah, I really like the art in this. It's really, what would you call this? It's like playful.
Yeah. Wait. Let's find that one scene. Oh, I think it's earlier.
Hmm.
It made me giggle, so I want to show it. Oh,
Oh
I
no,
lost
you
it.
lost
I
it.
lost it. I'll
Which
find it.
panel are you talking about?
It's they're all like, "Hey, lovely," and they look over, and he's just kind of.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, that
Wait,
it's
wait.
I know where
Where
it is.
is it?
Yeah,
Oh!
it's right here.
I like how you flicked right
So
to it.
that is a great scene where he's like investigating this crashed ship, and you kind of see there's some kind of glowing thing on it, and they never bother to explain what it is, which I appreciate, because the animals wouldn't know. And then the cat is talking with the other dog, and then
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, where's Lovey?" That's the French bulldog's name, and he's just like on this like glowing cube vibrating.
It's like, guys, not even Doc rubbed like this.
Yeah,
Having a great
it's
time.
pretty cute. It's
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, this is a good book. Pick it up if you haven't heard us talk about it from the first issue. I really like that this is something I talk about a lot with comics, is it's not specifically a kids comic or an all ages comic, but I think it's mostly appropriate for all ages. Like, there's no,
Yeah.
I don't have to be careful at which page I turn to when we're
Yeah.
showing it off. Like, there's no strong language.
It's about animals.
It's about animals, but like tonally, it's like a mature tone. So, and it's the type of
Yes.
stuff that I say should just traditionally be like for kids, because it doesn't talk down to them. So I think
Mhm.
kids will get it. Like, not little kids, like 5-year-olds, but you're like 10-year-olds that are like getting interested in reading.
Yeah.
I think this is the kind of thing they can look at. But maybe that's just me. I came from the '80s, and
Not just you. I think the same thing.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good.
But
So this is
I liked it
two
'cause
generations unite over this. Boom.
Boom. But yeah, it's great. It's keeping the mystery alive, because the last
Mhm.
couple pages took a wild turn that I was not expecting.
Yeah, and
So
I don't
yeah.
want to spoil it, but there's a lot of action in it.
Yeah. A lot
I
of fun.
Another thing I actually really like, that's I don't want to like get too bogged down in it, but I love the characterization of the animals. So they've done this really good thing in this issue. I just want to point it out, just because. So like the setup between these three animals is that the cat has been put in charge,
Mhm.
and
Obviously, it's the cat.
because it's the cat. And I've actually forgotten all of their
It's,
names. Porthos.
Oh, I thought it was Pathos and
It's
Athos.
it's Porthos and Athos, because they're named
Porthos.
after the Three Musketeers.
It's really wait,
but then-
Porthos?
Yeah, Porthos.
This whole time I thought it was Pathos.
No,
That's the problem with reading,
It's
guys.
Porthos. So they're named. They were going to be named after the Three Musketeers. It's Porthos and Athos, and then the third one is just Lovey, because I forget they gave a reason for that in the first issue.
Yeah.
But they did a good job of setting up their characters, where like Porthos is really supportive of, we should listen to the cat's in charge, and Lovey, the French bulldog, has been kind of the I don't want to say the one that's questioning authority and not just following orders.
Mhm.
But they do kind of a good twist on that, where Porthos kind of has this like toxic positivity to herself, where she's constantly saying like, "Yeah, we should listen to her. I'll listen to you. We'll do whatever you say." But then she just doesn't, and just does
Yeah.
whatever she wants.
Because she's like, well, I was trying to do this other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just like really appreciate that the characters aren't falling into these really basic stereotypes of like, this is the nice one, this is the mean one.
Mhm.
Like, they actually they got a little bit of layers to them. Like, it's a
Got a
little
lot of
complex.
depth, yeah.
So
it also builds up, and there's this really dramatic scene, and she gets called a bad dog.
oh my god.
I almost cried. It was
yeah,
devastating.
that panel where the cat is like has to discipline
Yeah.
Porthos and calls her a bad dog, and she's like tearing up.
It's after that.
It's yeah.
It's near the
It's near the.
end-ish.
We're just gonna keep digging through this
Yeah.
book because we just
It's
love
a great volume.
Yeah.
I like it. Or issue.
Issue. Yeah, right there. Like she's just, oh man, it's too bright. It's not gonna. There you go. Okay. Yeah, it's difficult to see on camera, but she calls her a bad dog, and she's like tearing up and ready to cry.
You were a bad dog. Really?
Really? I've seen you make that face, Celeste. That's the same.
Yeah, whenever people call me a bad dog.
That's the same. That's whenever which you know. It's not that it happens all the time, but the fact that it happens like twice is kind of weird. All right.
Oh, I got that one too. Stop stealing all the comics.
I'm stealing all of your books.
Yeah.
Hey, we just got a lot of crossover in our reading entertainment this week. We both have good taste. What can I say?
Oh, wow.
So, if you've been watching this stream, you've seen me talk about Everything Sucks. This comic is very, very funny. I haven't had a chance to read this new issue yet, but I believe you have.
I did. Don't skip the first,
Oh, yeah. This
pages.
is another one of those comics where we have to be careful about what page we turn to.
I mean, it's got the little advisory explicit thing on the cover.
Yeah. But this is a really, really funny book.
I love it.
I am going to show off one page that you showed me. Oh, I don't even know where it is. Never mind. I haven't read the book. I don't know where
I think I know the.
You know where it is? You know the.
No. I'm gonna just look through my copy to find it.
Okay.
But I like the art style of it too, and how all the characters are animals, but then the animals can still have animals.
Well, yeah, that's just classic talking animals comics.
It's beautiful.
And then this, I found the page that I was looking for.
Oh.
So like the characters, and this is like your basic kind of like stoner slacker comedy comic. And is the main character like work at a Subway or something?
Yeah, just about. Smokes a lot of weed.
Yeah. But I do appreciate you showed me this page. Just spoiler for the big money shot in this issue is this sandwich that he makes, and I love that it's like a double page spread.
It looks
dedicated
so good.
to this like giant sandwich, and I love when artists take the time to illustrate food and make it like really delicious looking. Yeah, this is a lot of care went into this page. That is a heck of a sandwich.
It's beautiful. See, I was talking what is that green stuff? I know you said it's avocado,
it's probably like
but
guacamole or avocado.
Doesn't work like that.
I mean, it's just some kind of sauce, like a spicy hot sauce. You never seen like green hot sauce?
Oh yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm definitely right.
It's got everything on it.
Yeah, this is like the everything.
It's making me hungry.
It's got red onions, tomatoes, ketchup, pickles, like ham, roast beef. Oh man, cheese.
But something special about this comic. At the end, you get stickers.
Oh yeah. All of the issues, they come with stickers in the back. Now let me ask you this, Celeste. Are you gonna take your stickers out of your issue and stick them on things?
Yes.
You are. Oh my gosh.
Should I not? That's what they're there for.
I agree. This is an age-old debate. I can't do it. I can't take the stickers out.
What?
Because it'll like.
Didn't you buy a whole sticker book at some point, like the Marvel sticker book?
I did, and I haven't taken any stickers out yet. I will someday, but the minute I take the sticker out of the book, it'll no longer be mint condition. And it just like it'll be imperfect, and that bothers me. So
I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna take a sticker out of every single one of your stickers.
So what I'm gonna have to do is buy 2 issues, one to keep perfect.
Oh my god!
But I won't do that because I don't want to deny somebody their chance to get this book. It's a really good book.
Yeah. I like that all the money on the cover.
Yeah, it's got the
shiny.
foil. Foiled. It's difficult to see in the video, but
to,
foil dollar bills. Yeah, there you go.
Ooh. Oh yeah, that's the whole issue. Is he comes across a bag of money, and it's just hilarity ensues.
Did you read any of the previous issues?
I read one of them.
Yeah.
I can't remember the main story so well because it's just like a slice of life kind of comic. But I did like the end. They had this little story at the end. And it was completely different than the main characters. It was like this other little world, but it made me laugh so much that I had to FaceTime my friend and show it to them. But yeah, no, I love the art, the writing, just everything about these comics.
Jessica wants me to tell you about the buttons at the flea market. We were at the flea market the other day, and there was these button packs, and they're like old like retail things that there's like 4 buttons on a piece of cardboard, but they were shrink wrapped because like they'd never been opened, and I would have liked to have bought them so that I could wear the buttons because they were things that I liked, like X-Force and Ghost Rider, but I couldn't do it because if I bought them, I would have had to open the package to get to the buttons, and it's at that point it's vintage, and it's I can't like if it was just like a new thing, I don't care, but if it's vintage, I can't open a vintage button pack.
The other day when Tony was selling his comic collection, he had these little Hot Wheels, these Marvel Hot Wheels, and I saw it, and I came back to the front to work. I thought on it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go get them, and I was gonna open them up and play with them with my little cousin. I went back there, they were gone, but I was just gonna rip open.
You're just gonna rip them open? Oh my! You just open like a 40-year-old package. Yes. Oh my gosh! No,
I don't care.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
They're toys.
I mean, no, I agree. They're toys. They're meant to be played with.
It gives me more joy out of the box than it does in.
I trust me. Logically, I understand it. I just
Funko Pops, take them right out.
Oh, just rip that
throw
box
away
apart.
That box. Yes.
No, you shouldn't throw away Funko Pop boxes because for most of those Funko Pops, if they're not in the box, you have no idea what the character is without the logo there.
I know.
Oh, sure you do.
I only buy Funko Pops of characters I love.
Okay, fair enough. Do you have any other books you want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see.
Did I go through your whole list accidentally?
Let's see. Man's Best. You got that?
Oh, yeah.
Feral. Did you read that one?
I didn't read this one. We talked about this one when issue 1 came out. I can't remember if you read issue 1 when we talked about it.
I did.
Okay, so did you read this issue?
Yes.
Do I have to be careful about which page I turn to?
I mean, no, not in this one. I mean, there's a lot of blood.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I don't want to traumatize anybody.
It's like every other page.
That's true.
But yeah, it definitely is traumatizing. I teared up a little because you love all these characters and you like want them to live long, happy lives.
Just like all animals.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at these.
Yeah, it hurts my soul a little.
Rabid wolves.
But the story is told really, really well.
Yeah.
And I'm still not sure if it's supposed to be rabies or if it's like this other sort of.
I think it's kind of both. Like it's a metaphor for being a zombie. It's like rabies that turn animals into zombies.
Yeah.
It
seems a lot more dramatic than just your regular everyday rabies.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Loved it.
Loved it.
Yes, I like all the characters. The youngest one that they lost and had to try to go find, this little guy, Lord. He is so cute. He's adorable. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
This part also made me tear up and cry a little.
Oh, the cat's been declawed.
Devastating. I would never do that to a cat. But yeah, so he doesn't have any little claws.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about him and how he's gonna fight back in the future. How he can, because they mentioned that a lot of these animals have trouble climbing trees.
Okay.
And so they're like, oh, just climb up in the trees and that's how we'll move.
But
and if he doesn't have
claws, so he can't climb up the tree. Oh my gosh, I can't read.
He did actually, oddly.
He was in the tree, yeah.
Yeah, they were like, then how'd you get up in the tree? And he goes, I don't know, guys. I'm here. I think it was just adrenaline. But
yeah.
I am worried about how he can fight back in the future. And he's the little baby of the family.
Yeah,
so.
he's the little.
Yeah, devastating.
Yeah,
we'll see. It's beautifully done.
It's kind of a gut-wrenching series.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what? It's effective at what it's doing, which is to give you this like gut punch, emotional horror.
And then at the end, they have this cute little.
Oh, okay. There
and
you
they
go.
say you can send in photos of your own cats and dogs. They're like, we haven't forgotten where we came from.
Yeah.
But they're just gonna do like showcase everybody's cats, and so I'm gonna send one in.
Send one of your cat. What's your cat's name?
Toothless.
Toothless.
And guess what color is he? He's black.
Oh gosh, I would have never known.
Yeah.
Does he have teeth? Are they retractable?
That is a long story.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
Okay, good. You can just say yes.
Yeah, but you can send in a photo of all your 5 billion cats.
We don't need to talk about how many cats I have. Moving on.
Oh, you're
yeah.
all
Hey,
my comments.
I'm just doing it again. Ultimate Spider-Man. So, I don't know what to say about this comic. It's really good. And I'm probably not going to read any more of it.
I'm reading a lot of different Spider-Man comics at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of my favorites.
I
think it's my favorite.
You think it's your
Spider-Man
favorite, really?
Comic, yeah.
I think it's the most like true to the character of Peter Parker that a Spider-Man comic has been in a very, very long time. And amazingly, in like it's it's very par for the course for an Ultimate book, but like Spider-Man's barely in this. It's all just character stuff of like this conversation between Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, Peter Parker, and Harry Osborn.
Yes.
Which, if you're a big Spider-Man fan, you know that's kind of a big deal. But I think it's pretty well written. It's I've talked about this before. I'm like up and down on Hickman. I don't think he's a bad writer, but I don't love everything that he does. And I think this has been really solid, and I think he's going out of his way to really try to please Spider-Man fans, which I feel like they've been getting spat on for like 15 years at least.
A little bit.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
you
But
know,
I like
it's
this
tough.
issue because he becomes Spider-Man after he's already grown and
Yes.
he has kids, and so that changes the dynamic a little bit.
Yes.
Well,
and that's so. I was just trying to find like a panel that had his kids in this issue. I know they're in here, but like that's something. They're talking to JJ and Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
That's some, yeah. So like you see like the kids there. That is something that I feel like most old school Spider-Man fans. This is exactly what they've been wanting for Peter Parker. They want a story where he's kind of moved into the next phase of his life, where he's a dad now, and you know he's got like different types of responsibilities. You know, with great power comes great responsibility. That's the whole Spider-Man thing.
Oh, that line is in this issue.
And that
finally.
line, that's the big moment in this issue, is when somebody gives him that line. And so it's I think it's solid. I'm
excited to see where it goes because Uncle Ben and Jay Jameson, they are opening their own company, their news company, called The Paper, and it's I think Peter's gonna go work for them, but I'm not sure yet.
That's what it feels like it's doing. Yeah.
So I'm excited to look and see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, all right. I see you got another Spider-Man comic there.
This is another one that I'm reading. That's coming out tomorrow.
All right.
Spider-Punk, Arms Race. And I got the variant over here too.
Ooh.
But yeah, I'm liking this a lot because unlike the last one, Ultimate Spider-Man, where it's very much like a Peter Parker story, this wildly different, you know, because they're different people. This is Hobie, and he cusses a lot all the time. It throws me for a loop every time it happens. I'm like, your friendly little neighborhood Spider-Man doesn't cuss.
Yeah,
he does.
He's punk rock.
Yeah.
I like the art in this. It's, It's pretty good.
And
it's
the writing too. Every now and then, I find it really funny because at some point they're fighting and they mention like they're being overwhelmed by enemies.
Oh, look, that's a nice double page spread.
And then he's like, "Oh, love that spirit, Cam, but we can't do this all day." Completely opposite of Captain America's like, "Oh, I could do this all day."
Well, isn't this one like Captain Anarchy?
Yes. God, I love his name. It's so funny. But yeah, so I'm loving all the characters. I like how it's playing out, and I'm excited to finish the whole issue.
Well, that's good. I think they're doing a good job of. I think finally Marvel is doing a good job of appealing to new fans and old fans with different Spider-Man books, because I feel, again, like I said earlier, a lot of old school Spider-Man fans have been left out in the cold. But I'm glad to see that everybody can be, you know, there's a Spider-Man for everybody, as they say, and that is good for everybody.
Yes.
All right, moving on. I think we got one book each that we're going to talk about briefly. So I got here, that one's, I'll just throw that over there. I got here Dick Tracy #1. Celeste, now, are you familiar with Dick Tracy, the famous detective who wears a yellow trench coat?
Oh yeah,
him. I really, really like Dick Tracy. There was a movie in the 90s by who was that? Warren Buffett? I don't know. It wasn't Warren Buffett, but it was really good.
Is he a spy?
No, he's. Who are you talking about? This character, or
I don't know.
No, Dick Tracy is a detective. So this takes place in the 40s. So like this is specifically the city, 1947. So it's like crime drama and, you know, gangsters with Tommy guns, and Dick Tracy is just this tough as nails detective, and you know he's a war hero, and you know he's really just like ultimate hero cop kind of guy. And I enjoyed this story, but it's difficult to talk about Dick Tracy without talking about the art because the original comics series I was close. Warren Beatty. Yeah, thank you. That's who I meant. That's what I said. Warren Beatty. Play that
Mhm.
back for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you said.
Yeah, thank you. It's difficult to talk about Dick Tracy comics without referring to the art because the original art style in the 40s was very it was a lot of cartooning going on and all the characters had like a really unique look to them or no, like a unique design. So
Okay.
like that's what you've probably seen characters like parodied in other media where they all had like the gangsters all had names like Flat Top and he was just like a total flat and they had like
Yeah,
Tiny
it's
Face.
very distinct,
Yeah,
like bone
there's
structures.
yeah, and
Yeah,
there's a character called Tiny Face who's just like a big head with a tiny face.
like long
Um,
arms. His arms are practically touching the
yeah,
floor.
things
Just
like that.
yeah.
And so with this comic, they're kind of going for more of like a realistic take on it. And so like when you have like Flat Top here, they're trying to make him like, what if Flat Top looked like a normal guy? And that's just not
Okay.
totally working for me. They also have Mumbles in this, but you don't get like a good look at him. Um, so
So you're just
yeah,
missing the art style.
I kind
Yeah.
of, I like classic cartooning art, and it's like the artist in this new book is good. Like he's not a bad artist. Like it's rendered all really well.
Hmm.
It's just like I want to see some kind of crazy over the top cartooning with the characters, and so far it's not really there in this issue, which I have to admit was a little bit of a letdown. It's difficult for me
Okay.
to just like get excited about it.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I'll probably check out the second issue, see where how they can if they can build on what they got in the first issue.
Yeah.
All right, what's the last thing that we're going to talk about today?
Is
What
it
else
really
you
the
got?
last thing? Yeah, it is. So this is Soul Eater, the perfect edition.
All right.
This is one of my favorite mangas and animes. I say that because I've rewatched it so many times. It's like a comfort show to me.
So is this
But
character like a priest?
oh yeah, so this is the 14th volume that has come out, and the whole manga actually finished in the like early 2010s. This is
Mm-hmm.
just the perfect edition, like I said. But that guy, I want to say his name is like Jason or
Jackie.
Jeremy Jackie. Yeah, but he can turn into a guillotine. So that's the
Ah.
whole premise of this manga is that you have weapons and you have meisters who can wield them. And the weapons, they're people who can turn into these weapons.
I like this guy.
Yeah, that's a little demon guy
Little
in
demon
someone's
guy.
brain.
Look at him.
Yeah, he's evil. He's taken over.
He
It's a
looks
whole
good.
story. That's a whole nother like side story going on. But no, I love this manga. Can't get enough of it. Can't recommend enough of it. So the premise,
Mhm.
Death in this series is a good guy, right? And so they go to this academy called the like DWMA,
Mhm.
and the whole point is to try to turn their weapons into the ultimate weapon for Death to wield and fight evil. And so they're collecting all these Kishin souls, which are like demon souls, and they got to collect a witch soul. And it's just really, really fun, really goofy. It
Mhm.
follows, I think there's, I want to say 7 main characters. Um, and then it builds upon that, and you start to meet more people. The dude on the front of this, he's just kind of like a low level villain off on the side. He used to be one of Death's weapons until he kind of turned evil, went against the crowd. But yeah, no, I love this character, Krona. They're
Okay.
awesome. They're really cool. They can turn their blood, which is black, they turn their black blood into weapons, into these like
These little like.
swords. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And then
just
this
an
is
illustration.
Medusa.
Okay.
Yeah. So she, all the tattoos on her body, like can come to life and move around,
Neat.
and she makes these arrows that can, I guess, push you in that direction.
Yeah,
so
is
that's how
that
she fights.
what's happening there?
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, there's a really cool image.
Yeah,
of Krona.
yeah. There's like
Yeah.
some cool imagery in this.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it a lot. But yeah, so it's written and illustrated by Atsushi Okubo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
Yeah.
I said that right.
Okubo.
Okubo. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Love
it's funny that you just like talking about this. This is kind of exactly not literally exactly, but kind of related to what I was just talking about with that Dick Tracy comic, where the artistic style was going for like a realistic representation of the characters. And what I love about Japanese manga is that there's a style, like the characters are depicted a certain way, but you can also have like weird characters. I lost that little goblin guy.
Ooh,
but
that's Death the Kid. He's literally
okay.
Death's son, and he loves symmetry, like so much. And then his hair.
I was gonna say his hair's not symmetrical.
He's upset by it.
Okay, okay, well that's good. That's funny.
Yeah, lots of humor. There's one of the main characters, Black Star. He's like he wants to be a ninja, but he's also super excited about being a ninja. So he's like, Black Star, here I come, and everyone's like, dude, you gotta shut up. He's like, ah. So it's crazy. It's fun. I suggest it.
Well, all right. That's what would you say is your favorite book, a new issue that came out this week? Do you say Man's Best or Feral?
Ooh, it's actually hard. So there's so many that came out.
Everything Sucks?
Maybe.
Everything Sucks?
I'm between Everything Sucks and if you're reading this,
that's a good. I haven't even read it yet, and I'm picking this one.
Well, if you're picking this one, then I pick this one.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning into the stream. We're done. You know, there was, like I said, we had a lot of comics to go through, and a lot of different stuff too. Only like a few superhero. I'm
glad a lot of ours crossed over.
Yeah, that was very
taken forever.
It was very convenient.
Yeah.
So, you know, like our good friend Dan says, there's comics out there for everybody. Stop into Fantasy Books and Games and get some comics.
Yeah.
If you can't get them here, get them somewhere.
Oh, and Free Comic Book Day is coming up on May 4th.
That's right.
It's on a Saturday. Easy to remember because May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
But we got a raffle going on if you're outside the store at opening at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. Then you get entered into a raffle, and the winner can get a free comic once a week for a whole year.
Woo!
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Pretty good. So yeah, come on in for Free Comic Book Day. We'll have tons of comics.
Lots of stuff going on. We got a kids drawing contest.
Yeah.
If you're under 12, you can draw a superhero. Pretty sweet.
All right. Before we leave, I just want to say your dinosaur earrings are awesome, and I forgot to even mention them, but you know, I love dinosaurs. So
yeah, my mom made them.
She made them for you.
Shout out to my mom.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.